Welcome. In this explainer, we're going to break down the hard science behind a really powerful tool for your mental and even your physical health, and that's self-compassion. So you might want to forget what you think you know, because we're going to look at the actual biology of how being kind to yourself can literally change the way your body handles stress.
Okay, so let's just start with a quick thought experiment. I want you to picture this. You've made a mistake. Maybe you dropped your keys, you missed a deadline at work, or you just said the absolute wrong thing in a conversation. What is the very first thing that voice inside your head says to you? Go on, just take a second and really think about that.
Now, what's so fascinating here is the massive difference, right? When a friend messes up, we're supportive, we're understanding, but to ourselves, man, we often just unleash this inner critic. And the research is clear on this. We are so often our own worst enemies. And that little habit, it has some pretty big consequences. So this internal voice, our own harshest critic, it's really at the heart of so many of our mental health struggles. But here's the kicker. What if I told you its impact goes way beyond just your feelings? It actually triggers a very real and honestly a very damaging physical response inside your body. So how does this all work inside of us? Well, that inner critic, it doesn't just stay up in your head. Nope, it's sending a loud and clear signal to your body that you are under threat. It flips on the exact same biological switches that would fire up if you were, say, face-to-face with a real physical danger. So, when that inner critic gets loud, your body starts pumping out a hormone called cortisol. You know, you've probably heard of it. It's the main stress hormone. A little bit is fine for handling short-term threats, but when you're constantly criticizing yourself, that chronic exposure to cortisol can lead to all sorts of health problems. And listen, this isn't just some nice idea. There's real science here. Groundbreaking research has found a direct, measurable link between how we treat ourselves and our biological stress levels. For instance, a 2014 study found that people who were just naturally more self-compassionate had a way lower cortisol response when things got stressful. And this chart, it shows you exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, just look at that difference. People with higher self-compassion don't just feel better when facing a challenge. Their bodies are physically experiencing so much less stress. It's a biological fact. Okay, so if that constant self-criticism is the problem, the thing that floods our system with stress hormones, then self-compassion has to be the antidote. But what is it really? Let's break it down into its three main parts. So Dr. Kristen Neff, who's a real pioneer in this field, she breaks self-compassion down into three key ideas that all work together. First, self-kindness, actually being nice to yourself. Second, common humanity, which is remembering that messing up is just part of being human. And third, mindfulness, which means noticing your negative feelings without letting them totally take over. So what's actually happening on a deeper biological level? Well, practicing self-compassion does way more than just lower those stress hormones. It actively turns on your body's own built-in soothing systems. You're basically rewiring your entire nervous system to be calmer. And it does this mainly through this incredible player in your nervous system called the vagus nerve. Now, this nerve is a huge part of your body's rest and digest system. It's basically the biological opposite of the fight or flight response. Think of it like the brakes for your stress. So when you activate this nerve with compassionate thoughts and actions, like, say, using kind self-talk, it literally acts like hitting the brakes. It slows your heart rate, it helps calm your body down, and it physically switches you from a state of threat to a state of safety and calm. And here's the cool part. Scientists can actually measure this calming effect. They look at something called heart rate variability, or HRV. Now, it's not about how fast your heart beats, but about the tiny variations in time between each beat. A higher HRV is a fantastic sign of a healthy, adaptable nervous system. And the evidence here is just crystal clear. One study looked at adults with anxiety and found that the ones with higher self-compassion had much higher HRV and a lower heart rate when they got negative feedback. So get this, they weren't just psychologically tougher, they were physiologically more resilient. All right, so now that we get the powerful biology behind all this, let's talk about the how. How do we actually do it? These are simple, science-backed methods you can start using, like today, to build up that self-compassion muscle. These 5 techniques are simple, but they are so powerful for rewiring your brain. Shifting your perspective to how you treat a friend, that tackles self-judgment head-on. Positive self-talk, that directly fights back against that inner critic.
Supportive touch, like just putting a hand over your heart, can actually activate that calming vagus nerve we talked about. And affirmations and journaling help you process your feelings in a really healthy way. You know, using a simple affirmation like this one is such a direct way to challenge that inner critic. It's not about making excuses at all. It's about reframing the moment with those ideas of self-kindness and remembering that, yeah, being human means we make mistakes. So, what does this all boil down to? What's the ultimate takeaway? It means that how we talk to ourselves during our toughest moments has a direct biological impact on our health, our stress levels, and our ability to bounce back from anything. So look, if there's one single thing you take away from all this, let it be this. Self-compassion is not weakness. It's not self-pity. It is a scientifically proven foundation for real strength and resilience. It gives you the emotional and the physiological safety you need to actually learn from your mistakes instead of just getting crushed by them. You know, it really just replaces that vicious cycle of criticism and cortisol with a positive, regenerative one of kindness and calm. It helps you build a stronger foundation, not just for handling the next mistake, but for going after your goals with more courage. So the real question is, how are you going to start?